Whew. What is up, y'all? Good afternoon. I'm on a lunch break, and this is about to be my most disorganized video ever. So, my normal flow with my videos, I just kind of put things together in my head. Maybe I'll sketch some stuff down, I'll think about it, then I'll just go out and shoot based off of what I've thought about in my head. The problem is, if it's like a really in-depth video, it's hard to make sure that I hit everything. So today we're gonna do a top to bottom, nose to tail review of the Evolve GTR by me, Yeahthatperson. So let's get to it. I bought my GTR, it's a Bamboo GTR. I bought it on pre-order. I got the first batch out as soon as they started shipping. And I got the combo AT and Street. I went with orange 97mm wheels, and then it was just the black 7-inch with black hubs and everything that you could get. Of course, you know me and wheels. I've got extra stuff. So now I have black wheels and green hubs. And then I have my purple pink wheels on the black hubs, which did the blowout. Anyways, so without further ado, let's get to it and talk about it. Now, the one thing I do want to say is this is going to be a long video. I'm sorry. I'm just going to try to bang it out and go through it. I'll put some stuff on screen when I can. I don't know how much visual we're going to have. Also, like I said, I pre-ordered. Mine was the first batch, so maybe I had some issues with it. So let's get in it and let's talk about it. Boom. So first I'd like to start what brought me over to it. You guys know I was an ambassador with Boosted, and I bought it while I was still an ambassador with Boosted. The range, I really liked the range and the ability to go AT. The flex deck with the flexible battery pack is what kind of sold me on it, and then I knew I had to get one and just see what was up. So I've had so much fun with it, and I've got over 3,000 miles on it. I'll put a figure on the screen, and then right here is my actual remote display. Boom. I like the board a lot. I really like it. So let's talk about it. The deck. Well, first off, one thing that I think everybody needs to purchase with their Evolve GTR, a helmet and a roll of gaff tape, and we'll just get into all of that shit. The helmet is pretty obvious, I feel. Everybody should have a helmet. If you are not wearing a helmet, you really should. I've seen helmets save my friends' lives so many times, and then I'll just shut up. Just no excuses. You should be wearing a helmet, in my opinion. So the deck, yeah, I actually printed shit out, right? So the deck is a flexi bamboo deck, and it's nice and concave. I absolutely love the deck. I love the concaveness of it. I love the way that it gives me the rises on each side, and I love the flex to it. It's a little bit different than the boosted deck. The boosted deck, you're standing onto an arch, so you're stepping into compression, and the board compresses when you step onto it. So you're riding under compression, and it's very, very shock absorbent. This is more like a hammock. You're stepping onto a hammock, and then it's gonna sink down when you get on it a little bit. And when you go over bumps, it's gonna take them a little bit. So the flex is different than the boosted deck for sure. Spring loaded versus kind of just, you know, going with it. But I absolutely love it in the way that it's low. You can get lower, you can slide the board easier. A lot of really cool stuff about the deck. My only complaint about the deck is Evolve really screwed up. The grip tape is horrible. Why the hell did they put spray frit on it with that shit? It's just horrible. My stuff wore off within the first month, and I've had to go custom grip tape, and I love custom stuff, but thumbs down on the quality of the grip. I mean, that was just horrible. Moving on, trucks are forged and stronger than before. The motor mounts are forged and stronger than before. I beat the hell out of it. I've not seen any bent motor mounts like other people's have had with their GT and prior series. So that I feel is definitely a win. Moving on, let's talk about the remote. So the first thing I'd like to say is Evolve, you really should have just like recognized that your remote sucks and recognized that Boosted did come out and set basically the gold standard, a one wheel action for going and stopping. It's safer, it makes sense, and it's better for muscle memory than having a trigger and a thumb button that you can accidentally hit and throw yourself off. Very easy for you to do that coming in and out of your pockets. a boosted remote or the thumb wheel remotes or even the joystick remotes are much more safer, because your brakes and throttle are all in the same thing. So you have to intentionally go into reverse, and it's much harder. So that's my personal opinion. As a boosted rider, when I ride it, I put my thumb off to the side and hold it actually under my fingers so that I don't accidentally hit it. Aside of that, the GT series and previous series were not Bluetooth. They were just wireless, and they sucked. I could move it in front of my body in a certain fashion and make it disconnect from the board. I have been thrown from a disconnecting GT, Carbon GT, absolutely. And I can get on them and I can make them disconnect by the way I hold the remote. It was a horrible design. And the other thing that was horrible about it was when it disconnected, the way that it would pull, and if you weren't expecting it, it will throw you off the board. The other thing that throws you off the board is accidentally hitting the brakes. They've adjusted that in this remote, and they've moved the brakes in a little bit, so it actually first kills the drive and then starts applying the brakes. Again, it doesn't replace, having a thumb wheel, because it should be a thumb wheel Evolve. Step it up. What else do we got here? More battery and that power save mode, so the display is not always on. That's a great improvement for the remote, and I can't complain about that. The other thing that I think Evolve could really step this up on is the wheel options. I mean, they have some basic wheel options in this remote. Why can't we add some more? There's more than just 97s out there. We've got people riding 80s, 85s, 90s, 100s, 105s, 110s, and it can't be that hard to add a little bit more math into the remote to give us more options. And I honestly really expected when the GTR series came out that Evolve was just gonna have that out the fucking gate, and I was shocked that they didn't. Not a major disappointment, there's worse things in the world than that, but I definitely was shocked and disappointed that they didn't already step that up. Let's move on to the battery, which is one of the big sellers for me. 18650s. Now Evolve went with 30Es versus what everybody else was doing, and they're gonna say, yeah, well, we did all of this testing and blah blah blah. Well, I think that they suck, dude. They're claiming 20 miles range AT, 30 miles range street in pro mode. Who the fuck rides in pro mode? But anyways, seriously, that's only when you get the board, and your top speed is only when you get the board, because once this battery has been worn, or once you even break it in a little bit, like 26 mile an hour top speed is on a full charge, a brand new board, it's gonna drop to 24 top speed once you hit like 90%. That's battery sag. Now, it is an improvement over the previous series with the flat packs where they had battery sag as soon as you started riding them. I mean, you get to 50%, you can't even use them in Seattle, is my opinion, on the older boards. You have to have battery mods. Now, I feel battery sag. Now, comparing this to boosted, I didn't feel battery sag and boosted until I got down to about the 15 to 10% mark, and then I noticed a little loss in power. With these guys, it's a steady down. So if we said 26 on a good battery, full charge, you're gonna be at 24 at 90. By the time you get to 50, you're gonna be at about 22. And when you're down to around that 10% crawling home, you're gonna be lucky if you're still hitting 20. I'll tell you mine, once I got about 1,000 miles on it, I noticed a big difference. I started losing some range and I started losing power. My board will not go 26 anymore. I'll get 24 miles an hour on a full charge. You know what that means? That means I can fucking smoke this board with a boosted stealth. My bad. Yeah, with a stealth, especially if I put on 90s, I can just blow this board away on speed. And that's the thing about the boosted compared to this, is I feel like I've got like top-notch performance from the moment I step on until the moment I step off the boosted. And I just feel like with the Evolve, it is a slow down on your performance just as the battery drops down in voltage and whatnot. Now, how could they have fixed this? Maybe they should have went with a 12S. I don't know. The sag I talked about, 26, 24, blah, blah, blah. The BMS. Now, this is something I had issues with from the moment I got the board. The board was having problems turning off, not turning back on, and then after 20 minutes, it would turn back on. After doing it a bit and talking with Evolve, I did send the board in. They said there was nothing wrong with it and sent it back to me. It took me 4 months to get the board's BMS to completely fail, so they would do their job and replace it. Now, somebody that bought a pre-order board and is legit, I was an ambassador for Boosted. there's a problem with the board. They should have stepped their shit up and like dealt with it. I'm happy that it finally failed inside of warranty and I could get the BMS replaced in warranty, but I feel like they just kind of dropped the ball there, and they really need to just step it up with that level of customer service. If I pause and rant on their customer service for a second, otherwise it's pretty good. I mean, you call them, they answer. You send them an email, it's like within hours they get back with you. You send your board in, they work on it the same day. A lot of times when they come in, when the board comes in and they start working on it, you even get an email that, and you know that they're working on it, you know? It feels like legit, like they're servicing your vehicle. And I really, really appreciate that. And that's something that Boosted, even though Boosted had great customer service and would just fix whatever for no cost, something that they could have done better about with the customer service is like letting people know where the board's at. So I did finally get the BMS replaced. It took sending it into him twice, having a lot of problems and feeling like I couldn't trust the board. And even when I told him that, it didn't matter. So I was disappointed in that. Moving on. What else can I say about the battery? Well, I would like to say that the switch totally sucks. The switch is not waterproof, and it's the same one that was used in previous versions. They didn't do anything to make it more waterproof, and it still gets hit with shit when you're riding. If I'm riding AT, I've had the board shut off probably about 8 or 10 times while riding AT because the switch got hit. Now, that's pretty dangerous. But what I would say is that I did notice there's some sort of fail-safe that they've put into the BMS / the motor controller or whatever, the ESC. When the board is powered off, it's just powered off on me, but I continue to have braking capabilities to bring the board to a stop. And then once it comes to a stop, the BMS actually stops sending power to the ESC, or the ESC notices it. If whatever it is, it finally then shuts the board off and the remote will vibrate. But that's something they could have easily fixed. I mean, come on. Next level board, why did you cheap out and not put a good switch in it? Come on, that's only a couple of bucks, man, and it would have taken it to the next level as far as that goes. The charge port cover. Now we're gonna get into the gaff tape. Now, I got a shitty charge port cover from the jump. I had to put in a request. They finally mailed me a new one. I almost said they emailed it to me. That would have been funny. They actually mailed me a new charge port cover back. Actually, no, I'm lying. They did that for my buddy Bao. They replaced mine when I had to send the board in to get serviced. And the thing stayed in a little bit better than the first one. And I'll show you pics of these. This is ridiculous. I mean, how is this ever going to stay in the version 1? And then the version 2, like, it barely stays in. So if I'm gonna get moist at all, I cover with gaff tape. And then just because I ride a lot, and I've got over 3,000 miles on it or whatever, and I go through a lot of crazy stuff, ride off-road, I actually must have had something rip it off last time I was riding, last week at some point, not last time I was riding, but last week, ripped the charge port cover off. So now I'm gonna have to order a new one. So gaff tape, gaff tape, gaff tape covers it and keeps you going. I think that's something that's really simple, man. I don't know. They should have designed a better charge port cover. Again, it's just like an epic fail where you really think they would have had their shit covered. The ESC, I've seen teardowns. I'm not gonna crack mine open for y'all, but I've seen teardowns and it looks like a cheap ass ESC. And when you're dropping $2,000 on a board, it should have a good ESC in it. And it just looks like a little piece of shit. Hopefully I'm throwing stuff up on the screen right now. I mentioned the fail-safe power off. I didn't mention the USB ports on it for accessories, which is pretty nice. There's 2 USB ports on it. However, if you're gonna run their LEDs and you wanna run street especially, they're gonna vibrate and come out. So you need your gaff tape to tape them in so that they stay on the board. And then you can get them to stay on all the time, and they look pretty badass. We'll come back to the LEDs towards the end of this. The motors. Yo, what is up? It's your next level board. They're still running the same motors. I kind of get it. It's what Boosted did when they went to their V3 line. You know, they kept running the exact same motors, but for the board, they were pretty decent and not any issues. The issues that I have with the Evolve motors is I feel like they fucking overheat and start smelling like if you ride them too hard. I mean, they do. I don't feel it. They do. And they are vented. They're not a sealed motor. And this is 2020. And it was 2019 when I got the board, but still, why do we have an open, unsealed, vented motor? I'm on 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, 5 and 6, 6, 7, 7 and 8. I don't know. I've already had to have the motors replaced a few times. I had a motor going bad, had it replaced. The other one started going bad, had it replaced. And then I had two go bad at the same time. And I actually know what happened. They got some fucking dirt in them from just down here by the lake where I come down, you know, over here, this type of stuff. I came down with street wheels and carried the board down and sat it down, and it must have got dirt in the motors, and it fucked them both up. And I've actually, like, I'm telling you this and I'm just coming out and saying it. I didn't necessarily reveal that part when I spoke with them. I told them about the failure, outlined everything. I was able to use a friend's board and troubleshoot. I was able to get them covered under warranty. Other people have not. Other people have just went to the fucking beach with their skateboard and their sand that got into motors and ruined them. And at $150 a piece, and if they make you send your board in, I mean, you could be talking $500. Shipping, $150, their bench fee, their service fee. I mean, that's easily $500 because they chose to put some shitty motors on that should have been sealed to begin with. I mean, if you were buying motors for your board, you would buy sealed motors and put on, I feel, you know, especially if you're going to claim that it can do AT and give you AT options, which I should just side pause for a second here. I have a friend, my buddy, let me know, because my shit is overheating, I was getting mad. But like, their marketing is so on point, because if you look, you will never see them climbing hills on an Evolve all-terrain with the AT tires on. You always see them kind of coming down. Bet. Go look and tell me I'm wrong. I'm sorry this video is so long. It's going to be an in-depth, detailed video. So like I said, tell me I'm wrong. Go look. Tell me where I'm wrong with that. And when they're talking about climbing the steepest streets, they're not doing them on 97s. They're doing them on 80s. They're doing them on Kegels because they couldn't do them on 97s. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying, pay attention to their marketing. Don't think that you're gonna get this board here and that you're gonna go take it up the Tolt pipeline trail because it's gonna fucking overheat on you and start smelling, and you're gonna have to stop and go find something else to do. You can do a lot of stuff with it. It is a fun board, you know, it's a very fun board, and I'm not knocking it. You can't just climb hills for a long time or it will overheat, remote will vibrate, motors will smell, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Pulleys, belts, bearings, all good. No issues with the pulleys. I will say, if you have to send your board in for service, pay close attention before you do. I sent mine in. I wanted to get it back. They hit me up with some shit that my pulleys were worn. I was like, whatever. But it was bullshit. They charged for pulleys that were not worn. Like, my shit, they were not worn. They were like, your pulleys were sharp, so we need to replace them. That was bullshit, and they were upping just to sell more and to sell the price. I'm not trying to start shit. Nothing. That's legit. Nothing was up with my pulleys. I had almost completely used the board for nothing but AT and rarely street at that point, and I had under 1,000 miles. And they tried to tell me that my pulleys were worn and I wasn't cleaning the board right. The accessories, nice. The LEDs are what I had put on my board. They're nice. They're all fucked up. They don't work anymore. The LED that I have on the board right now is an aftermarket that I just kind of patched together from what I had in the garage. Both the Evolve ones are dead. One side went out probably within a couple 100 miles, and I resoldered some of the wires. And then it lasted forever and then finally failed and just fell apart. The other side fell apart about 1,500 miles in. They're LEDs, so I'm not like complaining about it. I guess it is to be expected, but I do also feel like, I mean, okay, for the kit and cleanness, 2 LEDs coming off of 2 ports makes sense. But like, if you knew you're gonna do all of the underglow, why wouldn't you make a whole LED kit off of 1 port so the other one was just available for the users to still be able to utilize? Additionally, and I'm not trying to come at shred lights, I'm a shred light ambassador and I love shred lights, and there's nothing better on the market. But why would they not have tried to come out with integrated lights that like turn on and off with the board? What's up, y'all? I realized that I missed something that I really wanted to cover in this as far as the warranty and everything goes, and getting a pre-order. I'm not gonna drop any names. What I'm gonna tell you is one of my close friends, one of my boys that I ride with all the time, he purchased a GTR Bamboo just like myself. He pre-ordered a month before me. He got his delivered a couple weeks before me. He just had an issue with his battery, and Evolve didn't cover it because of water damage where water got into the battery. The reason water got into the battery, in my opinion, is because they did not properly put the battery compartment together during the initial build when they sent it to him. I saw the gap. There was a gap in there. It was obvious. And I think they didn't have it sealed. And Evolve went the route of blaming it on water damage on a board that they're saying is waterproof and everything. We're in Seattle, stuff's gonna get wet, and they're not covering his battery. It'll be $650 if he wants to get the board repaired. Right now, we'll only charge to 90%. And yeah, so he's just kind of like out of luck on that one, and it kind of sucks. So needless to say, he's not getting that battery repaired by them. He's gonna end up selling the board or gutting it and modding it. Just not a bad idea. So I just wanted to drop that off and let you guys know that, because it's kind of a big deal to me, I feel, because he's just ass out on that, and that's not cool. Anyways, those are my thoughts. I hit the whole paper right here. We're at 20 minutes on my clock. I can't believe this video is so long. My arm is exhausted. I hope this video turns out and I can actually use it. It'd be such a waste of time if it's not. Thank you guys for checking out my videos. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll turn around and zoom it in. But right over there behind me is beautiful Mount Rainier with a nice little cloud cap right now. It's beautiful. I hope everybody's good. I hope your family is safe and healthy. I hope you're washing your hands and you're doing your right part with your isolation. I love you guys. I can't express how much I love you guys, and I appreciate the love and support that you bring to me and my channel. I just like to ride. I like to share it with you. I can't wait to get out and get more group rides in. I do enjoy really making these videos. So if there's stuff you want to see that I can make or questions you have, hit me up in the comments, whatever. Hit me up on Instagram at Yeahthatperson. DM me, whatever. I'd love to make more videos for you. I'd love to make stuff that excites you and excites me and furthers what we're doing. So that's what's up. Much love from Redmond, Seattle, Pacific Northwest. Stay up, wheels down. They're doing it on 80-inch Kegels. 80-inch. Fuck me.